What is going on? Not a good start. Already got stuff with my throat going on. Jeez Louise. You would think that after the couple weeks or the week hiatus that my cold would be all cleared up, but I am still battling through it. I'm sure I got another one from my son. Not as bad as last time. I at least have a voice, but so good to see you guys. It's good to be back. I'm certainly happy that the last week of my life is done. And it's good to be back again. Good to be back into the routine. So good to see you guys. Yeah, what a week. Unfortunately, we're not celebrating a victory, which is unfortunate. And it feels like the Lions game was forever ago since it was last Thursday, but still gonna be fun. Hang out, talk, catch up with everyone. Feels like it's been too long. So let's drop this forms. There is the form for the giveaway. If you're new here, if this is the first time you've watched, fill that out. Please only fill it out one time. We're going to post it multiple times throughout the episode. Just fill it out one time. Double submissions, I have to filter through. It makes more of a headache. So please just fill it out one time. Yeah. Let's before we're going to do introductions like we always do, which I swear one day I'm going to change it so people aren't putting necessarily where they're from. So many of you are here week in and week out, which I greatly appreciate it. That I feel bad that you're always putting where you're watching or where you're from. But let's I'm gonna share this here real quick and let's draw a scenario. Now this is the scenario for the Lions game. So we gotta see if we're doing 3 giveaways today or if we're doing 4. So let's draw a quick scenario. I might have to look up if it hit. I don't know all of these, but we'll see what Isaiah McDuffie. No, Jordan Love. 3+ passing touchdowns. He did not get that. He had what? 1? Yeah, he had 1 and Josh Jacobs had 3. Okay, so we're only doing 3 we're doing 3 giveaways. So 1 for the Dolphins game, which we missed because I had some family stuff going on. And then I got the Lions game and then the loss. So made it back, made it for 3. So let's see where people are checking in. We got Derek checking in. South Dakota, good to see you again, man. Tully, the Tullys. Yes, it's good to be back, man. Yeah, it's just good to be back. It's good to be back into a routine. Corey and Logan, of course, in New Ulm. We have Jordan over in Minneapolis. Steve in Boone County. Good to see you, Steve. Good to see you as well, Jordan. I did not throwing you out here, not leaving you on red. Heather, good to see you as always. Dylan, thanks for checking in, man. Fort Mill, South Carolina. Ron coming in from Appleton. Ron, I'm curious, are you going to the Jordan Love signing on Monday? We got Wade up in the UP. They just got electricity up there, I think. Maybe just got running water. Maybe both. Tony, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be back as well. Roger, appreciate that. Yes, very, very happy I'm back. Jenny, good to see you. Appreciate you always checking in. Dude, what a clip that was. Remind me later on, Kirby. We definitely want to talk about that, but good to see you again, man. Belmont Pickens, good to see you. Let's see. East Texas, Tyler, good to see you, man. Tony, I never know if I say this. Waiwega, am I saying that right? I have no idea. Awesome. I'm kind of on the fence. I potentially want to try to get over there. I don't know if I'll be able to be one of the first 300. If I work generally until about 5 p.m. So I don't know if I'll be able to get over there, but I'm maybe, fingers crossed, maybe I'll see you there. Ben checking in from Bakersfield, California. I got to ship you out your jersey this week. I haven't forgotten about you. Last week was just a nightmare of a situation. So appreciate your patience on that. And Alyssa coming in from Bismarck, North Dakota. Appreciate all the well wishes. Appreciate all the kind messages and your understanding of me missing last week. Yeah, let's get into things here. I already posted the code, so I didn't, or the URL. If you are just jumping in now, like Raymondo, If you're just jumping in now, I posted the giveaway link. You got to scroll up in the feed. It's a Google Forms. Fill that out. Only fill it out one time per episode, please. If you fill out more than that, I got to go through and filter out things, and it could result in you being disqualified if you were to win a prize. So please just fill it out one time. Make my life a lot easier. Well, Packers fall to the Lions 34-31. Packers dropped to 9-4, and the Lions 12-1. And I know losses are never fun, but that was a fun game. I mean, despite the outcome, it was playing in Detroit's hard, but it was fun to kind of go back and forth. Josh Jacobs had a hell of a game, which we're going to talk about. But it's pretty interesting. You can tell that Lions fans are just not used to winning, because any other team beats the Packers. Chicago hasn't beat the Packers in most of my pages lifetime, but any other team, like when the Vikings beat the Packers, I don't hear crickets from their fans for the most part. Every once in a while, you might get one or two comments on my page, but my gosh, Lions fans fresh on the bandwagon are chirping off on all my posts, which is so. I don't generally trash talk teams, so it's pretty interesting to see them come in and feel like they need to like justify something. It really shows that like they must feel like they're like the little brother complex, right? They feel like I don't know if like beating the Packers is their Super Bowl kind of thing. That's how it feels. I have so many Lions fans just constant trash talking and acting like that game wasn't close at all, and acting like they're the only ones dealing with injuries, which is it's just pretty interesting. Social media wasn't around when the Packers became relevant again in the 90s. I would imagine there's probably Packer fans like that back in the 90s, but voices get amplified on social media. But I think it's pretty funny. Like when my team wins, my last, my thoughts I have never revolve around like I'm gonna go on this random Facebook page and just troll because maybe I have better things going on. I do like to creep. I like to creep on the subreddits and stuff, even when teams lose and it's not going against the Packers. I like to creep and see what fans are saying. But it's an interesting world we live in. If you're ever thinking about starting a social media page, I definitely recommend it, but you get a lot of interesting people. Shout out to Tully. Tully, I always send screenshots of like some of the random comments I get and some of the random stuff I get, messages I get. And I had someone, I drink Liquid Death. I don't drink alcohol. I drink Liquid Death, and for the show anyway. I don't drink Liquid Death all the time. But I had someone comment something about why, I don't remember what it is verbatim, but it was like, why does anyone drink Liquid Death, or why does anyone drink Liquid Death, or buy Liquid Death, let alone drink Liquid Death, when the founder of Liquid Death signed a blood contract with the devil to be successful? And I'm just like, what are we doing here? Where are these people getting stuff? Some people should have to like take a test to be on the internet. I think that's where I'm going with this entire rant. But yeah, if you're ever thinking, hey, should I start a social media page? I definitely recommend it, but you got to grow thick skin pretty quick, and you got to be ready to deal with a lot of crazies and a lot of bots. There's a lot of bots on Facebook, all social media, really. But yeah, tale of two halves. Really, it was an interesting game. The first half, offense couldn't do anything. I think they had 35 yards offensively the first half. Defense kept them in the game, and then second half, defense, after the Keyshawn Nixon interception, defense kind of just said, you know what, we did our job for the day. We're going to just kind of peace out now. And then offense kept us in the game. So it was, I don't know. It was a pretty interesting tale of two halves. Losing guys like Evan Williams and Javon Bullard, that obviously took a big hit to the defense. I believe in our first matchup against the Lions, their offense struggled mightily until Evan got hurt as well. So I think he's gotten hurt both Lions games. And it shows how different our defense almost becomes when that happens. You got to move Javon Bullard back into a different role. And then you have guys playing the middle that are maybe not as good at playing the middle. Missing Cooper is huge as well. You know, we've missed Cooper now, I believe, 3 games. And then missing Jair's is huge. I know there's a lot of heat on Jair for continuously being out, and he re-injured his it was PCL, I think. He re-injured whatever he had, he re-injured it. And it's frustrating, man, when you have that good of a player and it just feels like they're always on the bench. But you see the difference it makes when he's in there. So my hope is, fingers crossed, hopefully we can get him back later part of the year. Hopefully we can have him kind of play healthy, maybe get a game or 2 under his belt before we head into the postseason and get that rust out of them. Because if you can get him back and you can get maybe some of these other guys back, that Trent Coopers, the Bullards, I know Bullard's week to week. If you can get Bullard back, if you can get Cooper back, if you can get some of these other guys back, Ivan Williams, he has a concussion, so I'm sure it's not going to be super long. But if you can get these guys back and hopefully stay relatively healthy, we really don't know what this defense looks like because it feels like we've been kind of playing short-staffed all season. Now, all teams are playing short-staffed. So that's probably kind of a silly point because everyone is playing short-staffed right now. I mean, Detroit had a lot of their defense injured, still injured. And hats off to them. You know, the first half, really, Jordan couldn't buy himself time. You know, I think he had a second and a half to 2 seconds. They were getting pressure like nobody's business. And yeah, you know, defense gets paid too. They called a great game plan for the situation. The Packers adjusted at halftime and it seemed to really help them settle in. Jordan finished the day 12 of 20, 206 and a touchdown. Since healing up, you know, he seems to look a lot more like what we expected at the beginning of the year. He looks like he can move around a little bit more. His accuracy might be improving a bit. He doesn't look like he's maybe panicking as much when things are starting to happen. We kind of talked about like the pressures made the first half difficult. I'm really kind of surprised. Detroit seemed to really know how to handle those pressures, right? We saw them doing a lot of checkdowns, a lot of screens, a lot of like short passes. I kept wondering why the entire first half we didn't see that out of the Packers. They're sending everyone, and rather than just calling a quick screen, calling a quick check down to Josh Jacobs and let him do something, it felt like we just kept trying to like make our offense work with that. And that kind of really baffled me because it felt like if someone like me who's you know, my pedigree of play calling stops at Madden, if someone like me is like, hey, why aren't we doing more of this? I would think that it'd be something that should be kind of apparent. Now, maybe Matt had other reasons for why he was doing it, but it was pretty frustrating to see kind of trying the same thing every play. Pressure hitting you every time. You know, they're running blitzes. They're getting in the backfield like immediately, and we're still just trying to do the same things. We're still just trying to do the same things. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, hopefully they can learn from it and keep growing from it because I'm sure people are going to see that blueprint and going to try to replicate it going forward. But I certainly didn't expect the O-line to kind of get pushed around as much as they did, considering how how depleted that Lions team is on defense. But once again, it shows the Lions' depth, and the game plan they came in with was successful. They get paid as well. They have great coaches over there. They have a good foundation for their team now. They have good depth, and kudos to them. I mean, I feel like at a certain point I can just kind of record myself talking about Josh Jacobs and just play it week in and week out because what another incredible game by Josh Jacobs. Another hat trick for him. Now, he didn't, I guess maybe I shouldn't say incredible. If I say incredible, people are going to be like, oh my God, he only had 65 yards or blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah. The first half was like a wash completely, but second half, you saw them kind of getting him going a bit more. And anytime you can lean on a running back in those goal to go situations and get points on the board and get into the end zone is a huge win. First part of the season, first half of the season, I think we're like 29th in red zone conversions. I would imagine we got to be climbing up there pretty high now. It seems like we continuously score touchdowns in the red zone because we're just letting Josh Jacobs do the hard work. People are down on Love, like, oh, he's not throwing as many touchdowns. Who cares? Who cares what his stats are? I would much rather, if you're on like the 2-yard line, rather than trying to throw it in the end zone, give it to Josh Jacobs. Now, if you want to do a play action to Kraft, like we saw them try to do, I know Love went a little high on that attempt. I'm cool with that. But I don't like the idea of like the high point ball in the corner of the end zone or the back shoulder on the far side. I feel like oftentimes teams try to get like too smart with it. And I feel like just keep it simple. Lower your risk of something going wrong as far as like turnovers, as far as sacks. Now you could have holding penalties, but you can have those on passing plays as well. So just keep it simple. Let Josh Jacobs do his thing. He's a very elusive back. He's a powerful back. There's been so many times where I think he's going to get stopped for a loss or maybe a 1-yard gain, and he somehow makes it a 3-4 yard gain. So, man, he's been an incredible signing for the Packers. I couldn't be happier to have him in Green Bay. Let's kind of check some of the comments here. I'm sure kind of work off notes, so I kind of go back and forth. So, oh yeah, Tully and I were talking about this one. The play on the goal line where Rasheed Walker, they're coming at him. They hand it off to Jacobs, and Rasheed just kind of like hooks the defender's arm and throws him one-handed. What? Wow! He looked like kind of like Superman on that play. That was and shout out to Rasheed beyond just that play. Rasheed, start of the year, looked like he was kind of regressing. I was like, oh my gosh, do we need to draft a left tackle now too? And he's really settled in on the season. He looks so much better, after 4 or 5 weeks, after 6 weeks, maybe. Penalties have kind of slowed down, and he seems like he's just building that confidence and getting back to it. So it's great. It's great to see. Steve, I'm going to challenge you here. Okay. You say cut Ja and get a consistent player. Who is the consistent player? I love the suggestions, but I think oftentimes as fans, we see a very surface level part of the conversation. We see this player has an injury, he gets hurt, and then the team, he doesn't play for weeks. We don't know the conversation of like Ja being like, hey, I want to go. And the Packers staff being like, nope, we're resting you another week. We want to be sure we're not taking our chances. I don't think there's really such thing as a guaranteed consistent player in the NFL, especially at corner. Those guys are having to run fast all the time, stop on a dime, cut back in. Those types of injuries are unfortunately just part of the process. It's kind of the same thing with like wide receivers. I see wide receivers having hamstring injuries. And I'm sure they're going to reassess that, right? They're going to look in this offseason and they're going to see how much, I don't know how much dead money Ja has coming his way if we do cut him, but they're going to assess that. But I think it's so tough to just be like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to replace this all pro corner. Just because the guy's available doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be able to kind of fit that spot. So that's where it's really tough. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers sign guys in free agency. I don't know who's going to be available, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they loaded up on them in the draft, like we saw them do in the past with running back. We saw them do it last year with safety. It sure wouldn't surprise me. But I'm curious. I want to know, do you like have a name that you're like, hey, this is a consistent corner that I know if he comes to Green Bay, he's going to be not only a difference maker, but he's also going to be there every play or every game, and the Packers could get him. So that's like the tough thing to juggle, because a team's not gonna just get rid of an asset super easily if that player's performing and available and, I don't know, cheap, I guess. So it is tough. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you keep Jai. I think I don't know his contract details. I haven't looked, but I think as the contracts have grown, we signed him 2 or 3 years ago. It was an expensive contract, but as the contracts have grown, his cap hit might be pretty modest compared to what you might get for another corner nowadays. So, um, it's, I don't know. You and you see the difference when he's not in there, right? So I just think you keep him. Now, if next year he's missing a lot of the year as well because we keep seeing it, then maybe, to me, it's a different conversation. So I don't know. Anyway, um, really, I know a lot of people were pretty upset following the game with the missed penalties. Now the Packers had that missed penalty on, was it McDuffie that jumped on the pile, and they didn't call it in the Lions' favor. Packers had a few, or Lions had a few that they got away with. They had the hit to the head by Zadarius Smith. They had the holding on Nixon. The Christian Watson one, I know a lot of fans were mad that was called. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that they waited so long to call throw the flag. If that would have happened to the Packers, if the tables were turned and the Lions did that play to us, I would have wanted a penalty thrown. That's generally where I stand, where I'm kind of assessing refs play. I know it's ticky tacky, right? It was very like gray area. It could have went either way, and I think it'd have been fine. But if the Lions were on offense and did that to the Packers, I think we'd all be saying, hey, there should have been a flag there for pick. Now, the Lions did a pick play on McDuffie in the fourth quarter on that final drive that they didn't get called for. So that's where a lot of that frustration builds up as well. I am one, though, that, despite the questionable calls and stuff, I'm one that I'm never going to blame the refs for the loss. The Packers had too many missed opportunities. The only time I've ever blamed the refs for a loss goes back to Seattle, the Hail Mary game. Outside of that, I don't blame the refs for a loss. That one, I blame them more so just because it was clear what it was. Then it went for review upstairs, still stayed. The replacement refs had no idea what they're doing. Then the ref that called it, I don't even remember what the doofus's name was now, but he went on to like write a book about it. Like, talk about milking your 15 minutes of fame or infamy. I don't know. But yeah, it sucks, right? It sucks when you see some plays like that can really change the dynamic of a game. But the Packers missed too many opportunities, man. There was, you put up 31 points. Your offense doesn't play for half the game. You allow 34 points. I think it's just tough. You're not going to win many games when you're allowing 34 points. Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at on it. I feel like if you focus too much on the refs, because there's every play you could be like, oh, that should be a hold, or even some egregious ones. Like, the refs are people too, and I think the last thing I want is the NFL to get to this point where it's like every play's under constant review. So unfortunately, there's going to come misplays as part of that. The Packers have benefited from that over the years, no doubt. That's just kind of how it works out. But Packers just gotta, kind of overcome those things, and the Packers need to make more plays when it matters. We saw the Lions capitalize on 4 of 5 fourth down conversions. Really, the big difference in the game. they could not figure out how to cover the middle, especially on two of those. They pretty much did the same kind of like check down to the running back and just picked on our linebackers, which, hey, they know their weakness and they went against it. And that offense is tough, when that offense is a high powered offense, and if you're giving them 4 attempts to do something, odds are they're going to do it. The one time we stopped them was because of a horrible play call on their part. To do a pitch 6 yards back on a 4th and 1 is just mind blowing to me, or 4th and 2 or whatever it was. So, no excuses. Just got to get better for next time you hopefully meet them again, and hopefully you can kind of overcome some of those obstacles. I know everyone's different on that, right? Like I understand people's frustrations with the referees because you are expecting them to, kind of do their job, but that's just kind of how it works. Sorry about that, Katie. The Phil Mary PTSD. Yes, I agree. All right, I'm going to post the link again. If you haven't entered the giveaway, feel free to enter that. If you already have, don't enter it again. We still got a couple talking points before we move on to do, some of the burning hot questions and all that fun stuff. But we kind of already talked about it. The big losses I feel like that really impacted this game were the injuries that we sustained mid game. I think when you sustain those injuries mid game as opposed to coming in with those injuries, I think it's a lot harder to kind of adjust the game plan. I think if you come in knowing that you're missing guys, you can have a game plan tailored for that. And then when you lose 2 safeties in a game, I think it really makes it a lot harder to game plan around that. So the Lions exploited it. We talked about that. They hit over the middle. We could not defend over the middle to save our lives. McDuffie looked lost out there, which I think McDuffie does a lot of really good things. So I'm not hating on him by any means, but that's the NFL. That's how it works. The NFC North, kind of talk about the recap of that and where we're seeing it for the week. So obviously Detroit beat Green Bay. San Francisco rocked the Bears. Minnesota rocked the Falcons. Kirk Cousins, man, he kind of looks lost. He made some pretty bad throws. I didn't watch all of the game, but I felt like every time they're driving, he just threw it right at the Vikings. I was wondering as I'm watching this game, I'm wondering, as a quarterback, you've played in Minnesota for, I don't remember how long he was there. 7 years, something like that. No, 6 years. 2018, I think he came in because they had Case Keenum in 2017. I think maybe they had Keenum in 18, and then he came in 19. 5 to 6 years, whatever. Whatever, however long it was. Maybe it was longer than that. Whatever. Do you think you just get so used to, as a quarterback, throwing to a particular color that your instinctual, like your instincts is to just throw to that person without kind of processing the full thing? I know he's been in Atlanta now for almost a season, but you'd think that your habits kind of just take over of like, okay, here's purple and gold right here. That's where I can throw the ball. And I see he's open. So I do wonder if that plays a part in any of it. Now, Favre never looked like he was confused when he was playing the Packers in 2009 anyway. 2010, he threw a couple interceptions. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're just so used to players running the right routes and stuff, you don't even think about what laundry you're throwing to. This week, the Lions have a tough matchup. They are going against the Bills, and then there's an NFC North game, Bears at Vikings. So those are always interesting because given the situation, you kind of got to root for the Bears to win. You kind of got to root for somehow for both teams to lose. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bears are going to just bear it up, and Bills and Lions should be an incredible game. I can't wait to watch that. Let's get to some burning hot questions if you guys have them. Start dropping some questions. Let's hang out, answer some questions. Let's get this. And as always, shout out to Legendaries. I'm even rocking the shirt today. Shout out to Legendaries for sponsoring the show all season long. The Badgers are done, so now their promo is kind of withered down to $10 a dozen wings every Packers game. So there's at least for 4 more games or so for the Packers to capitalize on those deals. It's a great deal. $4, or excuse me, $10 for a dozen wings. Anytime you dine in, of course, no dine out or no carry out options. But yeah, maybe we should all just get together and do a big party there one day. Although I like watching Packer games at home or at the stadium, not out and about. So let's see here. Tony, I don't know if this is that really a thing? Was he colorblind? Not is that a thing? People are obviously colorblind. Shout out Matt if you're watching. Not Matt Ramage, my good friend Matt. He's colorblind. Vinny Testaverde was colorblind. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the Bills lost to the Rams. That was a crazy game. But I'm hoping that the Bills can kind of humble the Lions. I would love to see them get brought back. I would love, if we're talking about what I would love the Lions to fall and lose that number 1 seed. I don't know. I know the Eagles' road to that number 1 seed, I think, is a lot easier. I would love the Lions to somehow lose that number 1 seed. Even getting the 2 seed is probably good for them, but I would love it if they'd have to go maybe on the road to win it all. I don't know. I don't know how the Eagles are. I don't really follow them, but yeah. Derek says, "What do you think our record will finish?" Derek, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, so I don't generally make predictions. I know I saw Jordan say, "Do the Packers get 2 more wins?" I think they at least get 2 more wins. And if they don't, right? If the Packers somehow maybe only beat the Saints or only get like 1 more win and they miss the postseason because of it, because I know that's a real possibility, especially if they lose to Seattle, it gets things a little bit dicier. If that happens, then they clearly didn't belong in the postseason, right? We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't want a team that just like limps into the playoffs, right? I don't want a team that the last 4 weeks they look horrible and they somehow just manage to get in and then you just get blown out right away. I know a chip in a chair, but I think motivation or momentum's huge. And I think it's tough when you just like sluggishly go into the postseason and now you're going against a team that's hot and you're just getting rocked. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought. If you don't take care of business to end this year, then I just don't want to see them in the postseason. I don't know. Maybe I should be more optimistic about that because I do think the Packers could win any game they're in, but I just think momentum's a huge thing. And who knows? Maybe they get a wild card. Maybe you start picking up momentum in the playoffs and you beat a team there. Maybe you beat them in a good manner and you start feeling good. So I don't know. Maybe I'm contradicting myself, but I didn't see who had the first losing season in 23 years. I'm trying to think. Who would that be? Or are you? Because it can't. It's not the Packers. I don't know who's. I don't know who you're talking about there. I must have missed that. James. Oh, I missed the original question. Steve here. Steve says Elf or National Lampoon's Vacation. I am going National Lampoon's. I like Elf, but I think National Lampoon's is such a classic. Yeah, no doubt about it, Jenny. 12th man is going to be a factor. It is Seattle's a tough place to play. Yeah, I just that's a tough place to play. Favorite Christmas movie? Ooh, Katie's coming in with a banger. What is my favorite Christmas movie? My wife, it's not my favorite, but my wife and I just watched one of the new movies on Netflix with Lindsay Lohan. One of the like chick flicks movies. It was fine. It's good. I don't know. It is what it is. I really like 8-Bit Christmas. I don't think it's not my favorite, but I do tend to watch it every year. I don't know if it ever went to theaters or anything. I think it came out around COVID time. So I don't know if it just went straight to like streaming. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny. It's like Neil Patrick Harris is like talking about his childhood, about how he was trying to get a Nintendo, and how his dad wouldn't let him. And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of hijinks that happen in it. And it's a pretty good, and it makes me think of my childhood because we got a Nintendo. I want to say it was for Christmas. I was pretty young, but I think we got a Nintendo for like, maybe it wasn't for Christmas. I don't know. Either way, I know like one year I got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas. So it kind of makes me think of like my childhood with video games and how much you want, like, oh man, this Nintendo 64 is so insane. I really want one for Christmas, kind of thing. That's a really good one. But favorite, I think I have to go like a classic, like a National Lampoons for sure. Great question. Kirby says, how does Green Bay incorporate Reed more while not abandoning Jacobs carries? I don't know if Bailey's watching, but clearly Bailey just needs to bench Reed going forward. He had his game where thanks for the question, Kirby. He had his game where he snapped off, and I made a comment and I take Bailey, and she said that he was on her bench. So I think Bailey just needs to put Reed on the bench more often, and then we'll incorporate him more. To answer your question, I think, last week against Lions, us having to have a tight end in there more with the blitzes and stuff, I think that hindered Reed's ability to kind of participate in the offense. And it's going to be one of those things where week by week, we're going to see different guys have different games. Watson's been having a hell of a game or a hell of a stretch. I think he's had 4 games now where he's really looked involved in the offense. And then, Dobbs is out, so that kind of takes away corners don't have to really put as much focus over there. They can maybe add their focus on Reed, and it kind of takes him out of it a little bit. But we're going to see every receiver kind of have those games. We saw Reed had a 2 touchdown game a few weeks ago. We see Watson having a big game here or there. We see Romeo having a big game here or there. Wicks was having a really good game against the Lions. So we're going to see it's going to just rotate. I do think you need to get Reed going way more often. Dude's a weapon. You got to utilize him. I'm okay if we're not just doing a lot of end arounds with him, though. Those got old quick. Yeah, Kyle, I agree, man. We're gonna have to earn our way in. That's for sure. I hope so. I just don't want, I don't want you to just like lock it up and then just kind of get complacent the last few years and just into the playoffs. Is this deja vu to the 2010 season? Packers lost twice to NFC North leading team. I think the Packers only lost to the Bears once that year. We had to beat them to get into the postseason, unless because the Vikings didn't. We didn't lose to the Vikings. We lost to the Lions one game that year because Rodgers had a concussion. Matt Flynn tried to bomb it deep on like a 4th and 1. I think we lost 7-3 that game. Feel free to look that up. That was in Detroit. Not sure if I'm 100% remembering that one, but pretty sure a 7-3 final. Matt Flynn tried a bomb to Greg Jennings down the left sideline on a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Someone look that up. I'm curious if I'm right, but I think it was 7-3 final. Matt Flynn had to come in because Rodgers got concussed on a scramble. But Packers had to beat the Bears, the number 1 seed, to get into the postseason. So I don't know if it's deja vu. I feel like there's so many times that the Packers have or Packers fans, I've been guilty of it as well, have tried to like make these pieces feel like it's the 2010 season because we all want that magic again. But I don't know. I love if we can get momentum going, man, and this team can kind of start piecing things together. I love our chances when we get in the postseason. AFC looks kind of weak. The Bills look great, I think. NFC has like 4 teams I feel like that are just like really hot, and I'm putting the Packers in that conversation. Yeah, I like the chances. If you can get hot going in the postseason, I don't know. I don't even remember how to pronounce this guy's name. Gassino, is that how it is? If you guys haven't seen this yet, the clip went, I don't know if it's going viral today or if it just dropped today. He confronted Brett Favre, and he was all in his emotions. He confronted Brett Favre about falling down and giving Strahan the record-breaking sack, and Brett Favre kind of froze. He didn't know what to do. Like I think Favre thought he was joking at first, and then it was clear that the dude wasn't. And someone had to kind of step in and be like, "Hey, Favre, come away. You know, we got to get back to signing or something." It was a super awkward clip. Um, I don't know, man. I guess I kind of understand the frustration if you feel like your record was robbed. But at this point now, TJ Watt would have broke it, so his record wouldn't stand anyway. Um, I don't know. I just it's just a weird thing, man. It was a weird. Is You know, Tyler, that's a good question. I don't know. I would assume he's got to be getting close. He's still in concussion protocol. Um, you know, hopefully we get him back this week. Yeah, yeah, Christopher. Obviously, those are going to hurt you anytime. I think so many times. Watson's such like an easy target for fans to hate because of his injuries that he's had, and you know, I kind of felt bad when he fumbled. He's just trying to make an extra play. You got to be smarter with the ball, but man, you're just giving more ammunition for people to hate on you. Ooh, I forgot about Home Alone. Home Alone might be up there as well as like favorite Christmas movie. I see everyone's just talking about Christmas movies, which I love. Uh yeah, everyone let's all right. So it looks like everyone's just kind of discussing the dude confronting Favre. Let's draw some winners for is that what it was, Tom? I saw the documentary announced. I think it's coming out on Netflix. It wouldn't surprise me. But as lame plug and staged event to sell a documentary by Gassino, or I probably not even pronouncing his name right, but um, yeah, it's just I don't know. Yeah, Josh, appreciate you bringing the voice of reason to it too. I think we all see it as like, oh, I wouldn't do that, but you're right, man. There's probably a lot going on that you know he might be dealing with, and we don't know what's going on. I do think maybe it was just like maybe a spark to get the documentary going, but you never know. There could be a lot that goes on there. He's an old school football player, so there could be a lot going on there. Yeah, appreciate you, you know, grabbing the other side of the coin or showing the other side of the coin too. Yeah, like I mentioned, Tom, TJ broke that already as well, or would have. Oh shoot, I forgot the ticker. Tell you, you're slacking on that one, man. Appreciate you guys. These are kind of the streaks. We keep the streaks going, even though I missed last week, so my streak count reset. Uh, let's draw. Let's see here. James, Matt LaFleur. James, you're such a character, man. We got to get together, get wings, maybe during the Legendaries $10 deal. How about that? All right, let's draw some winners. We got to draw three. Before I do that, I just want to say a huge thank you, as always, to Nicolay Law. Without Nicolay Law, we couldn't do these giveaways week in and week out. So I appreciate them immensely. As always, anytime the Packers lose, we're doing a double giveaway the following week. This week we're doing three because we got to make up for the Dolphins game. But yeah, appreciate them so much. If Nicolay Law is going to get your back when something as minimal or minuscule as the Packers losing, imagine what they'd do for you if you were to get injured and needed assistance. So if you are injured, get Nicolay Law. I feel like that was a good plug. Let's see here. I already have this up, so let's open up. If you haven't filled it out, you got like 30 seconds left. I'll redrop this link. You don't have a lot of time left. Fill this out if you have not done so. If you've done so already, don't do it. I'll give you a couple seconds as I'm switching over to the wheel and getting a drink. You do have to be here to claim the prize. So, yeah. Enter in if you haven't done so. I'll give you like another 15 seconds. Man, I know I'm getting old when I picked up my son yesterday. My son's a year and a half old. I like tweaked my lower back. Now I just feel like an old man. I'm like grunting every time I got to like bend over to pick up something. Yeah, it's rocky at night. So I felt like I was going to tweak it again there, just bending over to pick up some envelopes. Getting old, guys. I'm getting old. All right, let's actually I can't share my screen quite yet. I got to grab these, and I don't want to show off email addresses because that wouldn't be fun. So we have 29 entries. James asked, when will you take your son to his first Packer game? Good question, James. Mr. Foreman. We took him to family night. I don't know when I'll actually take him to his first game. My thought is, I mean, he's got to be quite a bit older, I think, to take him to a game. Preseason, I could probably get away with. Maybe when he's like 4 or 5. 4, James. Maybe when he's 4, I can take him to a preseason game or something. But it's tough. I mean, family night, we left. I think we're there for like a little over an hour. The nice part is when you live close, it's not too big of a deal. Dude, Kyle, yeah, you're not wrong. I threw out my back kicking the covers off, man. Before I draw these winners, that's kind of another one of my gripes, right? I think it's so funny how like fans will like dog players for getting hurt doing this very physical activity, and meanwhile, like I get hurt picking up my 1.5-year-old, or like you said, just being in bed, you like tweak out your back. So I think it's pretty funny. Like player fans are always like, oh, this dude's so injury prone. Meanwhile, like I can't even do something like pick up my son without just messing up my back. So dude, I did sign. I'm gonna draw the winner. I'm sorry. I did sign him up for season tickets. He's not getting them in 29 years. I've been on the list for season tickets for like 15 years. I signed up in 2000. I got on the list January of 2010. I still have a long way to go, and they've done additions to the stadium since then. He'll get them in like, I think I calculated it'd be like 190 years. He would get them. So this is his first winner. We're gonna do 3. Good luck. Can't wait for Kirby's son to understand that. Ooh, we got Logan's first win. Nice job, Logan. Can't wait for Kirby's son to be disappointed in him losing and let him know that that life's not fair. But maybe Kirby won't sneak one in. We have Kyle Schultz. So Corey, I know you're with Logan. So Corey, if you want to give me a number between 1 and 40, up or down. Kyle, if you are here, do the same, 1 through 40, up or down, please. And then let's do one more. And we got to draw the scenario for this week's game as well. Ooh, Tony just snuck her in. Tony's been watching every week as well, and I think that's his first win. So Tony, 1 through 40, up or down, please. Congratulations to you 3. Nice job. Stoked for Logan. Logan's been watching with his dad. That's awesome. So, got to make sure all right, Logan, Kyle, and Tony. All right, I see Corey and Kyle. All right, we got 14 up. Let's see what. Oh man, we're up to 17 from 14. So let's see what we got here. And Kyle says 12 and up. I think you're going to be whatever's after 17. I don't know if we have 18 yet or not. We do have 18. So I don't know if I would assume Tony's still here. He's got until the end of the episode to claim. He probably checks in and out, but he's here every week. So, all right, starting out with Logan, 17. Logan, nice one. Oh, there's Tony. We have a Don Mikowski 8x10. No, excuse me. Whoa. We got a Don Mikowski signed mini helmet. Nice job, Logan. What a snipe. And then 18, because Kyle said 12 and up, which is 18 is the next one we have. So this goes to maybe next season if I do this live show. I'm hoping I keep sponsors or I have sponsors so I can do these live shows and do these giveaways. But hopefully next year I can kind of think of logistically a better way to do this, so the numbers, so you guys are aware of what numbers are there. I don't know if the up and down is a good fit or not, but yeah. So you, Kyle, won a John Kuhn signed 8x10. So nice job there, Kyle. And then we have Tony said 30 and up. We actually have 30. So Kirby, poor kid's just used to it. One of these times, man, I have a feeling you're gonna win. You're here week in and week out. Look at it took Tony how many times? It took Tony a handful of times of being here to win. So it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Ooh, I like this photo. You got a Dan Curry 8x10, one of Lombardi's guys. That's for you, Tony. So I will shoot you guys a message. I think I have Logan's address, but I think since Tony and Kyle, I think with it being your first time, I got to get your address, and then I have Ben. I gotta mail out his jersey as well. But thank you guys. Appreciate you guys being here, hanging out. Yeah, let's draw the scenario too while we're thinking about it for next week. And you know, if you guys are here week in and week out, you know, the episode after the Super Bowl, which is going to be the last episode of this live show for this season anyway. If we have some prizes left, I think we're going to be doing some giveaways that night. So it might be a big night depending on how things go. But here's the scenario. Might help if I shared the wheel. Here's the scenario for this week that we are going to be looking at. If the Packers can do this against Seattle, we will do a bonus giveaway next week. Thanks to Nikolai Law. Jordan Love, 20 plus rushing yards. His legs healed. Can he do it? 20 plus rushing yards. I don't know if has he done that in a minute. That might be a tough one. We'll see. 20 is not that many, but we shall see. Kyle, you don't have to send it to my Facebook. I'll shoot you an email with what you sent in. That way I can have it centralized. I don't trust Facebook with that. Maybe I shouldn't trust my email either. I don't know, but yeah, so let's see here. But yes, huge thank you to Nikolai Law for that. Let's talk about the just getting this. So I got something. Seahawks game. Let's talk about that. And I do have to put up. We don't spend too much time on this just because I'm not like a very much break him down guy, and we're also kind of running up against the clock. But here's kind of how their averages look so far this year. We have total offensive yards. Packers are leading the conversation there between the two, 376 to 344. Seattle is third in the NFL in passing yards. I did check this on Monday before the Monday Night Football, so maybe something changed following that game. But at the time, they were third in the NFL in passing yards of 249. Now, that is concerning considering the Packers had their struggles stopping the pass. So we need some guys back. We need Evan back. We need Etrin would be huge back. Jair to get back would be nice. I don't know if Jair comes back this week, but we need some guys back because that could be concerning. But rushing yards, 144. Packers lead that conversation. Average points, Packers are leading that conversation as well. Defense, Packers are leading the conversation except for passing yards. So that's where it's kind of concerning. As we talked about, their pass defense has looked a little rocky in the last couple of weeks, mainly due to injuries that we've been seeing. Turnovers, Packers lead them across the board. The Packers are leading over the Seattle Seahawks in takeaways and interceptions, fumbles, complete takeaways, and then giveaways. They're in a better spot. So a lot of that favors the Packers, which is great to see. Now we're going to be in Seattle, which is tough. They have a pretty big home field advantage, which is always difficult. But I like their chances. When you're looking at the breakdown like that, I like their chances. I don't know. The Packers had to have won in Seattle in Rodgers' tenure, right? I think. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I know we lost to him in the regular season 2014, and then they canceled the NFC Championship and just rewarded the Seattle Seahawks the victory on that one, which is too bad. Maybe we would have played really well in that game. uh yeah, it's gonna be a dogfight, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I Seattle's a tough one. All right, let's do our little fun story to end the episode. This is a story. This week's story is one that I think most people are pretty familiar with, but maybe we'll go in a little bit more depth with it. Let me get rid of this overlay real quick. If I can figure this out. There we go. All right, so this is a story that is known by most Packers fans, especially, but it is one of my favorite stories of the Holmgren era. So when Reggie White became a free agent following the 1992 season, he was arguably the most sought after free agent in NFL history. During that time, we saw teams across the league whining and dining the Whites, bringing them out, trying to sell them on their teams. I know Detroit was going after him heavily. Packers had no chance at landing Reggie White. When Reggie came to Green Bay for a visit, all these teams whining and dining Reggie, taking him to these nice restaurants. Where did Ron Wolf and company take Reggie White? They took him to Red Lobster because catfish is his favorite food, and they wanted him to be able to get catfish, which is interesting in itself, right? You have this high profile player, and you take him to Red Lobster. Well, anyway, they did their sales pitch. They did all they could to try to persuade Reggie to come to Green Bay. But Mike Holmgren said, you know what? Maybe we need to up the ante here a little bit. He had heard that Reggie, during a press conference, said that he was going to let God guide him on where he should play football. Well, Mike had the idea of giving Reggie a call, and he got Reggie's answering machine. I have to say answering machine. I said voicemail one time when telling this story, and an older person was like, they didn't have voicemail then. It was an answering machine. So Mike got Reggie's answering machine. And on the answering machine, Holmgren left a message. He said, Reggie, this is God. I want you to play in Green Bay. And he hung up. Well, Reggie appreciated the humor, but I don't think it was what actually ended up pushing him over the top to sign with the Packers. It's a great story nonetheless, but really Reggie's signing in Green Bay happened because the Packers signed him to a whopping 4 years, $17 million deal, which if you think about the deals that we're seeing now, to think about a 4-year, $17 million deal being a massive deal back in 1993, that's pretty wild to think. Reggie's arrival in Green Bay completely changed everything for the Packers and the team culture. He made it cool to be in Green Bay, and it made it cool to be a Packer. The franchise that struggled to sign any free agents went from having to have an abundance of free agents that wanted to play in Green Bay, thanks to Reggie. Brett Favre obviously helped, and Mike Holmgren, but Reggie really helped make it cool to be in Green Bay. Because of Reggie, we were able to bring in guys like Sean Jones, Andre Rison, and numerous other players that helped the Packers put them over the top and finally win their first championship in nearly 30 years. They defeated the New England Patriots 35-21 in Super Bowl 31. And Reggie that day had a record performance, or a record-breaking performance. He sacked Drew Bledsoe 3 times, which was the Super Bowl record that has since been tied by 3 others. Darnell Dockett in 2009, Coney Ely in 2015, and Grady Jarrett of the Falcons in 2016 season, I think. What's interesting, out of the 4 that have had 3 sack performances in the Super Bowl, Reggie White and the Packers are the only team that were winners of that Super Bowl. Darnell Dockett lost it to the Steelers as a Cardinal. Coney Ely lost as a member of the Carolina Panthers to the Broncos. And then Grady Jarrett, as a member of the Falcons, lost to the the Patriots in the 28-3 comeback. So that is the story. I'm sure it's not a new story to any of you, but that is one of my favorite stories, and I love telling it. So, yeah, I appreciate you all checking in, hanging out with me as always. It's always great seeing some familiar faces, and it's just great hanging out with you guys. It's great being back and being back. I don't know, back in the routine. So appreciate y'all immensely. I hope we're celebrating a Packers win and talking about potential postseason next week. But until next week, I hope you all have a great week, and we'll be talking to you soon. The winners, I'll be reaching out to you to get addresses, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Go Pack, go, and have a great week.